You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, when my mom was pregnant with me there in Phoenix, she tried her best 3 times to force an abortion. Not that she ever went for a medical abortion, but she did everything in her power to try to cause me to abort. And it was all unsuccessful. And as I think back over my life, that just convinces me God was in control.
Yes.
He is sovereign. He had his hand on my life, all of my life, even though I grew up in rebellion against it and did not let him in, did not ask him in until I was 37. But nonetheless, that convinces me from even before I was formed in my mother's womb, he
Amen.
had my destiny pre planned, he had my calling pre planned in his ordained will. And he watched me over all those years and preserved me through many times where I could have lost my life, but he kept me around and ultimately humbled me where I came to him because I had no other place to reach when I was 5 to live with her family. So I grew up with the Rosenbergs. Um, they're a they are a pure Mexican Jewish family. Um,
Interesting.
Anna Joaquina Rosenberg was the mom's name, but she was solid Mexican
Mm-hmm.
and didn't speak a lick of English. And
Mm-hmm.
then her husband, um, he was, I guess pure Jewish. I don't know if he was a practicing Jew or what, but
Mm-hmm.
anyway, I grew up in those households. So over the years, up through my high school years, I and into my first year of college year, I lived with um, 4 different settings in the Rosenberg family. Of it all, tall pine trees, tall eucalyptus. We would sit out and sleep outside in hammocks all summer long because there's no such thing as air conditioning for them at that
You
time.
did you go away to college or did you go to
No, I attended 13 years of Catholic school here.
okay.
So I learned a lot about God. I got a good education, but I didn't study very hard. Excuse me. But anyway, yeah, I attended the University of Arizona here. Ultimately, I never completed school. I went off and on for several times. My background was in architecture. I got close to completing, but ultimately, I got a good job where I was actually working in that field. And then
Yeah.
I ended up managing the architectural civil structural group at the old Hughes. So it turned out to be a good job, and I just never bothered to go complete. Um,
So
it,
when you were a kid, did any of the Rosenbergs ever take you to church? Did you have an introduction to God?
it was, man, they were devout Catholics.
Uh-huh.
Willie was an altar boy, even into his 50s.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah, to go to grade school, Santa Cruz Catholic School, first through 8th grade. Um, I can't remember when it was, but it was at an early age.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to go to 6 o'clock mass with Willie every morning
Mm-hmm.
for him to be an altar boy and for me to get to school. So, and then after that, then I, was released over to school. But to be honest with you, I didn't have a relationship with the Lord.
Yeah.
When I'd go to confession, I'd make stuff up and then
Yeah.
do the penance they assigned me. I came back to Tucson to visit the Rosenbergs in 1970.
Okay.
Met a met a young woman at a political rally for a guy that was running for governor in 1970, and you know, talked to her there, took her out once or twice. Then a week later, we got married
Oh,
and went back to California with her, and that's where my 4 children are from that marriage. Sebastian, Michael gave an Athena.
Okay.
And we were married, separated, back together again, divorced, you know,
No
over the
God in
next,
that marriage. Were you going to church, or was she a
no,
believer?
no God whatsoever. God was the furthest thing. And it was actually the breakup of that marriage that God used to humble me. I could no longer be independent because I came from a broken family. I truly came to him where he truly brought me in. You know, my bottom line philosophy is God is sovereign. He's in control over all things, and he uses all things
Amen.
for the good of his beloved. And that's my true life story, even though I never saw it until after I came to him.
We never
And I
do.
can reflect back over my years and realize he was always there. He
Hmm.
was always waiting. I was the one in rebellion.
Yep.
I was the one rejecting him. And he had to break my independent spirit to
Hmm.
get me to the point to cry out to him, to call for him, to acknowledge him, and to accept him. But
Yeah.
even he was in control of that. That was not of my own doing. But, bottom line, God's in control.
Hmm.
And he has a plan for our life. And he's always there. He has a calling for our life. Even when we're in our deepest rebellion and deepest rejection, he
Yeah.
is still there. When he calls us, there's ultimately no resisting, and we will come to him. So my prayer is that all of my children and grandchildren would end up being called by him and ultimately be transformed where they acknowledge him, accept him, and love him the way he loves us. So that's what I want for them.